The buffalo chant. Nashoba watched the sun rise over the plains, its light reflecting on the distant hills where buffalo once roamed in abundance. His heart was heavy as he prepared for the journey, a quest his father had insisted upon before the first snows came. The elders spoke of times when buffalo herds stretched as far as the eye could see, their hoofbeats shaking the earth. Now, the buffalo was scarce, hunted relentlessly by settlers and rival tribes for meat and hide. Nashoba believed the buffalo were more than animals, they were a gift, a sacred bond between his people and the land. His village relied on the buffalo for food, clothing, shelter, and even rituals that honored their spirit. As he walked past his family's lodge, Nashoba's mother pressed a small medicine pouch into his hand. She told him it held herbs and sage to guide his spirit and bring him strength during his journey. With a silent nod, he set out, his footsteps light but determined, leaving behind his family's quiet gazes. The plains stretched endlessly before him, vast and empty, the only sound his own breath and the wind. Days passed as he walked, searching for signs of the herds, hoping to find what others had not. He followed trails long abandoned by buffalo, their faint tracks hidden beneath layers of dust. One evening, he encountered Tokala, a Sioux warrior whose people, too, suffered from the dwindling herds. They stood in silence for a moment, each sizing up the other with wary eyes. Tokala, fierce and proud, spoke of his own tribe's struggle, the endless hunger as buffalo grew scarce. Recognizing their shared plight, Nashoba and Tokala agreed to journey together in search of answers. They moved in silence, communicating only with gestures and nods as they crossed hills and rivers. Their bond grew as they shared stories of their people, stories woven with the spirit of the buffalo. One evening, Tokala performed a buffalo chant, his voice low and mournful, echoing across the plains. Nashoba listened, feeling the song stir something deep within him, a sorrow that he couldn't yet name. Days later, they came upon the remnants of a hunt, carcasses stripped of meat and hide, left to rot. Nashoba felt anger rise within him, a sense of betrayal at the waste of such sacred creatures. Tokala spoke of the settlers, of their endless greed, their weapons that killed with terrifying speed. As they traveled further, Nashoba and Tokala's food dwindled, forcing them to rely on roots and small game. In a dense forest, they met Oris, a rugged trapper with eyes as sharp as an eagle's. Oris was wary of them at first but warmed to Nashoba's earnest questions and Tokala's stoic nods. He warned them of settlers moving further west, hungry for land and indifferent to the buffalo's fate. Oris shared his limited knowledge, speaking of machines and railroads that cut through once sacred lands. Nashoba listened with a sinking heart, realizing that his people's way of life was in grave danger. He began to understand that his journey was not only about finding buffalo but about preserving his culture. Tokala's silence deepened, a reflection of his own sorrow, knowing that his people faced similar threats. Together, they camped beneath starlit skies, speaking of ancestors and the wisdom passed down in stories. Oris led them to an old hunting ground, though he doubted any buffalo remained in the region. The land felt empty, stripped of its spirit, the bones of past hunts scattered across the barren fields. Nashoba knelt and placed his hand on the earth, feeling its quiet sorrow, its loss. Tokala offered a chant, hoping to call forth any buffalo spirits lingering in the land's memory. They waited, but only the wind answered, a soft whisper that carried the weight of ages. Oris warned Nashoba and Tokala of a nearby settler camp, urging them to stay hidden. The camp was noisy, filled with laughter, the settlers oblivious to the land they were changing. Nashoba's heart ached, watching them as they feasted, unaware of the sacredness they disturbed. He realized that his people's connection to the buffalo, to the land, was beyond what settlers could understand. Tokala suggested they return to their tribes, but Nashoba felt he had not yet completed his journey. In a quiet moment, Nashoba asked Oris how his people coped with change, how they found new paths. Oris spoke of survival, adapting to new lands, and finding strength in things that could not be taken. Nashoba understood that his people would need to adapt, to find resilience in this changing world. But his heart still clung to the hope that he might see buffalo once more, a symbol of his people's spirit. Tokala left, bidding Nashoba farewell with a solemn nod, each knowing their paths had diverged. Alone again, Nashoba continued onward, feeling the weight of his ancestors urging him forward. He walked until he came to a high ridge overlooking the plains, his final prayer for the buffalo on his lips. As dawn broke, he accepted that the buffalo were gone, that his journey had led him to a painful truth. He returned to his village, empty-handed but carrying the wisdom of his journey within him. The elders listened to his tale, their faces solemn, knowing that their way of life had truly changed. Nashoba told them of Tokala and Oris, of the new threats that came with the settlers' advance. He spoke of the need to adapt, to find strength in their unity and resilience in their traditions. His people gathered, performing one last buffalo chant, their voices rising as one, filling the evening air. In that moment, Nashoba felt a powerful connection to his ancestors, their voices mingling with his own. The chant ended, but its spirit lingered, a reminder of the buffalo and all they had meant to his people. Nashoba understood that though the buffalo were gone, their spirit would live on in his people's hearts. His journey had taught him that survival was not just about food or land, but about preserving the soul of his people.